Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property address 32700 Southeast Leawood Lane, unit number 5 here in Boring. We are located, I'm going to describe this as if you're standing out here between the two houses facing the front door. We are to the left of the front door, just out in front of the patio here, or the decking. Got a 4-inch ABS cleanout. We're going to check the overall condition, serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water is running. Off we go. Camera head right now is upside down. That stuff right now is on the bottom of the screen. That's actually the top of the pipe. That's some gunk in the line from what looks like a past blockage of some kind. We do have some standing water in the line here. I'm probably going to turn the water off, let this thing drain out for just a second. And so right now where we are currently at, I just did a quick locate. We are getting relatively, probably within about 5-6 feet of the tank, approximately. And what I don't know about this thing is if it is a if that's actually a septic holding tank, or a some kind of sewage ejector system. I don't want to get too far into this thing. It's hard to really get a gander at what I'm getting into here. So that's a question that you could probably run past the HOA as to whether or not it's a pump system. A lot of these work that way. You know, your stuff gets held in the pump tank and then it gets pumped up to a community septic system. That's a pretty common setup. Anyway, you do have standing water here. From the looks of it, it looks like it goes right up to the connection to that tank. Yeah, I'm running up against something right here. I don't want to go shoving into that too far. But, I mean, we have very obvious, clear blockage evidence here at the top of the pipe. The hard part is it's hard to know what exactly led to that. That can happen due to either a septic and or pump failure, depending on what it is. You know, if it's a pump that it dumps into right there, the pump can fail. That can cause the system to back up. And or same thing can happen with just a septic system in general. If something goes awry, the tank gets overloaded, drain field doesn't function properly, any of those things can cause a system failure and cause the line to back up. There is quite a bit of gunk sitting in the line here, and some of it looks like it's been there for a while. I'm going to do a couple more toilet flushes to see if I can get some of that to convey through. My camera is just running over something here, and it's hard to tell what it is. I don't get a great view of it. I'm hitting a little bit of a edge, and it could be a slightly offset piece of pipe. It's just hard to see. The plus side is as I understand it, I believe everything on the exterior of the home falls into an HOA responsibility. So this is something you could certainly forward on to the HOA so they can have a look at it. But what that debris right there tells me is that a blockage occurred and made it to that point right there. And no further than this. So it got back to this point here. I mean, the concern is will it ever get back to the house in general? It's a possibility. But not knowing what kind of system you have here, it makes it a little bit trickier to know what may have led to that. If it was a pump failure, this kind of stuff happens all the time when a pump has a problem. Once it gets fixed, things are back to normal. You still have the issue of standing water here, though, which can cause a blockage. You want to be extra careful. What I'm going to recommend is cleaning on the line just to blast all this junk through. Where most of the debris is, I mean, the thick stuff at the top of the pipe, by and large, won't have a huge effect on anything unless you're flushing something down the line large enough that it comes into contact with the top of the pipe, which you'd need something that's 4 inches tall to accomplish that. So whatever that would be is something that's already getting darn close, if not at the point of blocking anyway. But you've also got some grease and debris buildup in the flow line area. Alright, just did one more toilet flush there to help push some stuff through. Trying to get some kind of view as to what's going on in here. And I get up to this point here and I just start running into a bunch of debris. So what I'm going to recommend, I just don't know what my camera's getting into right now. If I'm running over into something that could be an offset joint or something that I just don't want to get my camera stuck in the line or something of that nature. There's enough debris in the line here. I'm going to recommend you clean it and rescope it. Upon rescope, and you want to rescope it immediately after the line is clean to get your best view of everything. It doesn't take very much debris getting into a belly to just muddy the waters down enough you can't see fine detail. But what I am noticing here at the top of the clean out, I'll show this real quick before I go back the other direction. You've got backup debris that comes all the way to the top of the clean out cap. What that tells me this line has indeed backed all the way up to the house before. So I think whatever's going on there does appear to be something that has the ability to cause a full-on sewer backup. So I think that's worth investigating a little bit further to see what's going on in here. You know, it's very, very possible that's nothing more than, could have been a pump failure of some kind, but you've also got a fairly substantial belly there. The line is fully submerged. Alright, turned a little bit of water on here. Help keep the camera clean. Gotta push past a little bit of gunk here. This right here looks like where the line, it's on a turn, so we don't get a great view of that spot, unfortunately. Would not surprise me one bit if that was merely a transition from 4 to 3 inch pipe. Very common thing. A lot of homes don't have 4-inch pipe going all the way back into them. 3-inch pipe is pretty common. We'll take a second look at that here in just a second. And I will at least put a, I'll go locate where that belly starts at. I don't want to put markings down because until the line's cleaned out, it's hard to even know. You could have a big mass of debris or something going on with the pump for all I know that's causing the water to stand. So I don't want to go marking out a bunch of stuff that may not even potentially be problematic as it relates to grade anyway. So, alright, I'm going to turn the water off now and let everything drain out here for a minute. Right, and this right here looks like the very back end part of the line. There's a little bit of debris in front of the camera, and what that often is right where the clean out, yep, that's a clean out cap right there. Where these Ys come in, a little bit of stuff will divert and get back into the clean out access. That's all that is there, is a clean out access. It's a non-functional part of the sewer line. So after years and years of stuff flying through there, there's always a little bit that will divert and go back the other direction. And or it could also be related to the past backup that occurred. It's not a spot where water flows through the line, so once stuff gets in there, it doesn't, no water really touches it. And as I understand it, just from what I've heard here, sounds like the stuff that's under the house, directly within the footprint of the home, falls into the homeowner's responsibility, and then the stuff on the exterior falls into HOA. So that right there, as far as I can tell, I think is just a 3-inch transition. So line flows very nicely going under the house or from the clean out on out. You don't really run into any flow issues until you start getting out towards the end of the line. I think this is very much worth looking into to make sure you don't have something here that's going to cause a recurring issue. And we're at a very shallow depth there. Only about 1 foot 11 inches, 2 feet deep. Anyway, I recommend cleaning. You've got some debris in here that looks a little bit suspect, and my camera's running up against something here. You can see it's right in front of the camera right now. And it doesn't just look like toilet paper, it almost looks like a object or something of that nature. So I do recommend you get this thing cleaned out thoroughly and rescope it, and you want to follow that cleaning up immediately with a rescope to make sure you get your best view of things. Anyhow, everything prior to that point all has good flow and functionality, nice and clean.